It was just after 6 p.m. when the sky over Vancouver turned a soft shade of violet, the kind of evening that makes you pause and breathe in the cold air a little deeper. James Nolan, a 38-year-old single father, had just picked up his son, Ethan, from hockey practice. The two were laughing about how Ethan had accidentally scored in the wrong net, again. It had been a long week of balancing work, parenting, and healing from a painful divorce, but moments like these made it worth it. They stopped at a small bakery on the corner of Granville Street. Ethan loved their maple cream donuts, and James figured they'd earned a treat. As they stepped out with their paper bag warm in James's hand, a sound sliced through the soft hum of the street, the unmistakable sound of someone crying out. James's head turned sharply. Just across the street, under the flickering light of a street lamp, he saw a girl, maybe 15, maybe younger, being forcefully dragged by a tall man. Her arms flailed, and her mouth opened in a scream that was quickly stifled by a rough hand. People walked by, heads turned, but no one moved. Everyone watched, frozen, waiting for someone else to do something. James didn't wait. "Ethan, stay right here," he said, handing his son the bag and dashing across the street without thinking. His blood boiled. All he could see was fear in that girl's eyes, the same fear he once saw in his sister's eyes years ago when she had escaped an abusive relationship. The man noticed James too late. Without a word, without hesitation, James slammed his fist into the man's jaw with every ounce of strength he had. The impact sent the man stumbling backward, releasing the girl. She crumpled to the sidewalk, shaking, her knees scraped. James stepped in front of her, arms wide, protective, the way a father becomes a shield without thought. "Get the hell away from her," James growled. The man, stunned and off balance, started to shout, but a crowd was gathering now. Phones were out. Someone had already called the police. The man bolted, disappearing down the alley. James turned to the girl. "Are you hurt?" he asked gently. She couldn't speak. Tears streamed down her face. James knelt down, took off his coat, and wrapped it around her shaking shoulders. When the police arrived, the girl still couldn't say much, just her name, Claire. No phone, no ID. She didn't know the man's name either. She'd just been waiting for the bus when he grabbed her. She thought she was going to die. James gave his statement to the officers while keeping an eye on Ethan, who watched from a few steps away, holding the bakery bag, confused and wide-eyed. After some time, an officer turned to James and said, "She's lucky you were there. Most people would have just watched." James didn't feel like a hero. He just felt angry that someone so young had to go through that. And grateful that Ethan had seen it. Not the violence, but the action. The moment where you don't think about yourself, you think about what's right. Later that night, Ethan crawled into his dad's bed, something he hadn't done in over a year. "Dad," he whispered, "you didn't even know her. Why'd you help her?" James thought about it for a moment. "Because someone had to," he said. "And because if that was you, or someone you loved, wouldn't you want someone to help?" Ethan nodded. He nestled closer. "You're the bravest person I know." James swallowed hard. The truth was, he didn't feel brave. He was terrified, not of getting hurt, but of what could have happened if he hadn't stepped in. What kind of world it would be if no one ever did. Over the next few weeks, James couldn't stop thinking about Claire. He visited the police station, asking if she was okay. Turns out, she'd been placed in protective care. She had no family nearby. James left his number, in case she needed anything. He didn't expect to hear back, but he did. A few months later, Claire wrote a letter. In shaky handwriting, she said thank you. She said no one had ever stood up for her before, and that she'd started going to school again. She'd even made a friend. She said she was learning to trust people again, starting with him. James folded the letter and kept it in his nightstand. He never told many people about what happened that night. Not because he was ashamed, but because real heroism, he believed, wasn't loud. It didn't ask for attention. It just showed up when someone needed it most. The world didn't change that night. But for one girl, everything did. And for one boy watching his father, something changed too. He saw that doing the right thing wasn't always easy, but it was always worth it. So the next time someone wonders if one person can make a difference, remember James Nolan. The single dad who saw a girl being dragged away and punched first, asked later. Because sometimes, instinct saves lives. And sometimes, it teaches the next generation what it really means to be human.